Jason, is he be here?
Range gonna hang back, I think.
Do what?
Range gonna hang back, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay, how are you guys doing this morning? Again, thank you guys for all coming out here and helping us during this time. Let's start off by beginning and saying that since we first learned of the disappearance of James and Michelle Butler, we have been working tirelessly in conjunction with the family, along with federal, state, and local law enforcement. Unfortunately, on October 27th, we located the remains of two bodies buried on the beach in rural eastern Kleberg County. We exhumed the bodies on October 28th, and late on November 1st, through forensic examination, we identified the remains of those of the Butlers. Our department would like to express our heartfelt condolences to the family and all those affected by this terrible tragedy. But this is an ongoing homicide investigation, and as we are pursuing all leads and have developed several persons of interest, at this time we would like to release a person of interest that we're asking for the public's help to identify these individuals. As you're aware, this is an ongoing criminal investigation, and we are not at liberty to discuss the facts of the investigation in order to protect the integrity of this case. I have committed 100% of our department's resources and have a dedicated and entire investigative team to ensure that the person or persons responsible for this tragic crime are brought to justice. That investigation is led by Lieutenant David Mendoza. We appreciate the support of the community and the family during this complex investigation, and we will provide updates as they become available. At this time, I'd like to refer to David Mendoza if you guys have any questions.
Do you all have any questions?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. How safe is this beach considered?
Padre Island is, we have, our jurisdiction runs about 8 to 10, 12 miles of beach. For the most part, we've had, it is a safe beach. We do have a lot of families that go to the beach, camp out at the, what we call the bowl area, which is around mile marker 262. Between Bob Hall Pier and that area, we have a lot of families that go there for weekends, a lot of families that camp there. It's a popular area, and it's been a safe area. Then you have the rest of the beach, south of Malachite, south of the Pavilion, which we have another few miles of jurisdiction there. And over the years, we have had some incidents, but for the most part, it is a safe area. It's a family area.
Were the Butlers targeted, or were they just in the wrong place at the wrong time?
At this time, our investigation has not turned up any information to that. We're still conducting the investigation. We're looking at all the information that's coming in. We're looking at all the leads that are coming in to help us determine what may have been the reason behind this. We're focused on trying to process, look at all the information that's coming in.
What can you tell us about the person of interest?
The person of interest, as Sheriff mentioned, he has it's an unidentified male subject and an unidentified female subject. I think it has been put out on the media. It has been shown there's a vehicle that it was reported crossed into Mexico. We're working to identify the person, the male driving the truck. The sheriff will put out that picture to the media, and then after that we will also email that picture to the media. So if you think we don't have your email address, please get with our secretary, Carmen Lopez, so that she will take that email from you so we can get you that photo.
I wanted clarification. I was out there on the 28th, and I was under the impression that is when the male body was found around noon, and the female body was found around 4 o'clock the day before. So you found both bodies on Sunday?
Okay. On Sunday, the partial remains of a person were seen in a shallow grave. Wildlife, it appears, dug out part of the shallow grave, which exposed the body. We secured it. We lit up the area. We put officers out there to secure it, and it was almost nighttime. So it wasn't until the next morning we assembled our team. It wasn't until the next morning that we all arrived at daybreak. Several law enforcement agencies, several officers, along with the DPS Forensic Lab, DPS Ranger, and others were out there to help us. And that's when we started to excavate the site. And then we discovered first the female body and then the male body.
What led you to the bodies?
It was one of our reserve officers, as I said, that was out there in the area as the investigation continued, trying to get GPS coordinates. As he's in the area, he sees what appear to be the remains sticking out from the sand, from the shallow grave. That's where that part started.
I spoke with a family, and I guess they have concerns with the timeline. They wanted to know when the 80 miles of coastline was scoured, why cadaver dogs weren't used then, considering the location where the remains were found and where they camped. It was yards away. So they didn't understand that.
I do not have or cannot comment on the 80 miles of beach. I know that after the remains were discovered, that we maintained the area secure. I know that we did use cadaver dogs. Of course, it was after the remains were discovered, but we scoured a large area in there to help us locate any other remains that may have been scattered about by wildlife. But that is the action that we took, and we're here today to, report on that as your questions that you're asking. But that's what we did. That was the sequence of events that we took.
What do you want to tell people who are in this area, who love to go camping, who love this beach area? I know you touched up on the safety, but what do you want to tell the public who has these concerns?
We have an officer out there that goes out there. He's a part-time deputy sheriff, Officer David Farias. He spends a lot of time on the beach. He has really good contacts with the park rangers, CC Police Department, Corpus Christi Police Department officers are out there, constables' offices. So a lot of things get reported to David. When there's a need to report it, he relays that to us, and we respond to those calls. We've had people in the past that call the office directly to report things, suspicious persons, suspicious vehicles. So I would say to them, continue doing that. Continue calling the office, even if they report it to CCPD or one of the constable's offices in the area, they will get that information to us, and we will respond.
I know you've been talking to a lot of family members of the Butlers and everything, and the Butlers have been described as selfless people. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can comment only on a little bit of the information that I've gotten over that. I heard that he was a generous person. I heard that he was a friendly person. But that's all that I know of him at this time.
Were they too trusting?
I don't know if they were too trusting. I think that when you have personalities like that, people seek them out because they're friendly. People want to be associated with them. They want to hang out. They want to, visit. The beach is an area where many times people that don't know each other come together because someone will light up a campfire. Someone will break out a barbecue, and it's not unusual for these folks to invite each other to their sites.
Are you
Question, when and where were they last seen alive and by whom?
The last time that they were seen alive, it appears, was on the 15th. They moved out of the park, the Bali Recreational Vehicle Park, Bali Park, on the 15th. We talked to the park office. They told us that someone went out there to check their site, and they were gone from the site by 12 noon. On the 15th, we saw a post on Facebook at around 12:47 p.m. where Mrs. Butler posted that they had just arrived at their new home for the next couple of weeks before they set out to Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
And do we know the manner of their death yet?
That is something that we're keeping or not reporting on at this time. It's very important to the investigation. And if I may, I can ask our district attorney, Mr. John Hubert, to comment on that.
Right now, because of the sensitivity of the investigation and because of our attempts to gather more information, we're going to have to operate just on the basis of what we're presenting right now. What we really need is we need more information, as with every case, but what we really need is some connotation to put the individuals into context, particularly those two that we've given you the information on. It's interesting to know they have specific characteristics. The male has large holes, earrings in his ears, often called gauges. They have tattoos, specific tattoos that we're going to look at in the picture that we're going to present. But we'd ask for people that have information as to either the man or the woman, or even who might have done the tattoos, to please contact the Sheriff's Department or the Crime Stoppers.
What all resources are y'all using to try and find the killers?
Well, at this point, part of the investigation, we have, of course, the Kleberg County Sheriff's Department, and they're totally dedicated to that. But we've also got the Texas Rangers, Texas DPS Forensic. We've got, I believe, DHS and Border Patrol is helping us with certain items. We've also got the Park Rangers. Their work cannot be understated. In fact, when you go to the safety of the area, what we often find is the United States it's part of the National Seashore, part of that. And because of that, it's only accessible through Corpus Christi. So it's actually hard for us to reach and patrol on an average basis. So, of course, we have Deputy Farias, but we also have the National Seashore Park Police that come by, and they do a lot of policing in that area, helping people out, watching for the safety and security. And that is the reason why, for the most part, it's a safe place for families.
Are you working with Mexican authorities?
I can say there has been contact, but to go into specifics of that, I don't want to at this time.
Is it true that someone had a drone out there during the time that this disappearance happened?
I have no information as to that.
Where did they cross into Mexico?
Because of the ongoing investigation, I would rather not comment on that.
If they did go to Mexico, I don't think Mexico extradites people that are facing capital murder charges or death penalty charges. So I guess the death penalty would be off the table in this case, if they are in fact in Mexico?
It really depends upon what the evidence shows. At this point, we just don't have enough evidence to show that there are even our suspects in the murder. At this point, they're just people that we want to identify and talk to for background in the investigation.
When they crossed over, when you spoke, I guess, to Customs or the Mexican government, are they Mexican nationals? Are they Americans? Do we know that?
Again, we're trying to identify who they are. If we had, if I could use stereotypes, I think they're probably local to the Corpus Christi area.
Is there any indication that people, I haven't seen the photographs or information, any indication they were the people that were camped with them on the beach?
Again, at this point, it's too early to tell.
Anyone know if there was any type of struggle or fight between the killers and the couple?
Again, at this point, we're trying to develop further leads. So at this point, we just want to find out who these people are and talk with them about the facts of the case.
So you're not sure how they came in contact with this couple?
No, sir, we aren't.
And when they crossed the border, if they in fact did cross the border, I guess there was a surveillance camera picture taken of them crossing the border. Is that how you're basing who they are?
I believe that's correct.
Will you have extra patrols at the beach from this point on? for
I
safety?
know that the National Seashore, the Park Police, are very aware of that, and they're taking their own measures. I'm not exactly sure what those measures are, but I know they're very conscious as to this. We've talked with the sheriff, and the sheriff has talked about various alternatives as to patrolling that part of the beach.
Any DNA evidence left behind at all, and if it was, what was it?
Again, we're trying to develop further leads at this point, and we're still investigating. We're still looking at all the evidence, and we don't have anything that we can give out at this point.
Is there any sort of motive right now?
There are a lot of possible motives we could speculate as to, but I'd hate to speculate at this point. We just need to develop further leads. We've got information at this point, but as with all criminal cases, the more evidence we have, the better it is.
The two people you're looking for, are they considered a danger to the public?
At this point, we just know that they might have come in contact with the victims. And because of that, we want to talk with them. But we've got no indication as to their role at this point.
How many people were in the truck when they crossed the border?
We don't know. We only have a picture of 2, but there might be other in back. There might be some that are not seen.
And they were towing the trailer?
Yes, sir.
The couple was traveling with 3 cats, their pets. Is there any word on cats being seen in this area? People finding them? I mean, maybe they're crossed over to Mexico, but is there any word on that?
At this point, we haven't heard anything about the pets in this case. I would assume that they went with the trailer, but again, we didn't find them at the scene. We did not find them at the scene, so we don't know what their fate is.
What's the confidence level that y'all have of finding these 2?
We're pretty confident, but again, the more interaction we have with the public, the more the public can come forward with leads as to the identity of the people. It's just a matter of time.
How crucial has the public been during your guys' investigation?
I would have to refer to Detective Mendoza, or Investigator Mendoza in that matter. But I do know that every piece of information they give us either helps us identify somebody or identify a piece of evidence, or it helps us rule out something.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that they give us helps.
For a minute, and I know you spoke to this person who reported possibly seeing someone from New Hampshire at the Walmart in Cal Allen. How did that pan out, and was that quickly closed?
Again, that's a specific of the investigation I'd rather not go into at this point.
Can you say your name, first and last spell?
My name is John Hubert. I spell my last name Hubert. First name John.
And Investigator Mendoza, can you do the same?
I'm Lieutenant David A. Mendoza, Kleberg County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I guess that's it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sure did.
If there's any one thing that
Alternate
I think the
I have
sheriff would
many.
agree with me on this, is we'd like to say thank you very much to the National Seashore Parks Rangers, to the U.S. Border Patrol and DHS, to the Texas Rangers, to the Texas DPS, and to all of the people who have come together, the Nueces County Medical Examiner's Office, for helping us with this case, because it takes more than just one agency to do this. So we really appreciate everybody's help.
Absolutely.
On the photo that's being passed out, make sure that we have your email address so that we can send it out. We will be sending out the photos over email in a few minutes, so please give her your email address.
What are the photos again, sir?
You won't be able to see the face,
I don't know if they want to talk to you off camera, but I don't know if you can go to the office. Probably my office, that'd be easier. There might be some,
Island Moon newspaper out on the island. I talked to a lady yesterday, a friend of mine, I live out on the island, said she saw the drone video of the 2 beach. You guys already have that?
no.
You don't?
We had somebody